Hi everyone, and welcome to another Monday evening crafting time with Lillian. I am Lillian Kemp, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from Alberta, Canada. And normally I come to you live, but this one is a pre-recorded one as I have family in from out of town and we are busy with them tonight. But I will be checking the comments, so do be sure to leave a comment and I will answer all the comments that you have. So we're going to follow the same routine just as if I was live, and so as I go down to my desk I have a question for you. What is your favorite part of paper crafting? Is it choosing the design? Is it picking out the colors? Is it zeroing in on a particular stamp set or a technique or a fold? So what is your favorite part of paper crafting? And while you're typing that in, I am just going to get set up on my desk. I'm going to see right here. There we go. And you're getting a little sneak peek of what I might be using tonight as well. So I'm anxious to know what your favorite part of paper crafting is. My hardest part is picking the colors. So I tend to go to designer papers and look there for that. My favorite part is coming up with a good idea or maybe a great technique. And tonight I am going to share a technique that is new to me. Maybe it's not new to you, but maybe I'll show you a different way of using it if it's not new. So let's just take a look. We're going to use the Soft Seedlings stamp set, and that is found on page 53. It's right here, and you see some great samples here of the July to December mini catalog. So I just thought it worked really well with this technique, and I wanted to share that one with you. And let me just see. Well, I think I'm going to dive right in. So the paper that I'm using, I'm going to use thick basic white for my base. It is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So it's just your basic half sheet of cardstock folded in half. Now this technique can be used portrait or landscape. I'm going to use it landscape in this video, but then I will also be showing you some samples that are portrait as well. I'm also going to use a piece of basic white, and I've cut it out with the deckled rectangles. So this, if you were not cutting it out with the deckled rectangles, this would be 4 by 5 1/4. So let me just show you which deckled rectangles I use. So here are the rectangles. So this biggest one is for, let me just move that out of the way there. The biggest one was for that. And then if we started at the center, 1, 2, the third one out is that. And what I'm doing is, no, forget it. I am casing a card that I made a while back, and so I will. It's a card layout, so I will share that in a little bit. So there, we've got that. Now I think that I want to emboss this, but before I emboss it, if I want to stamp a greeting, I need to stamp it now. I might decide on some of the cards, and you might decide to leave it plain, but for right now I am going to stamp a greeting there. And this stamp set is fabulous in that not only does it have these great distinctive stamps, it has some very wonderful words, and I love the fonts. So I am going to use the For You. So that's this one right here. And my color is going to be Pear Pizzazz, which is a color I don't use a whole lot. So that's just even a bonus, right? So I'm going to put my greeting right down here. Any of those greetings actually would fit, but this is the one I'm going to put down here because I chose this one because I can put anything on the inside. For you with sympathy, for you happy birthday, for you thinking of you, So for you, that kind of thing. So now we've got it set. We're going to emboss that, and we're going to get to the technique in a minute. This came out of here. Now you can save it for another project, or you can stamp your message and put it inside, and it just adds another little touch there. So I'm going to put those two to the side, and we're going to bring in my Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. And if we were doing this in person, I would be asking you, which embossing folder would you like to use? Would you like to use the Leaf Fall 3D or the Fern 3D? So when I'm trying to decide on an embossing folder, I will tuck my paper in and just see. I should move this out of the way here. I've brought that in a tad too soon. And just take a look and see, do I like it like that? Or would I like it like that? Or maybe there's another one. I think these are two of my favorites at the moment. I think I'm going to go with this one. But if we were doing this in person, I would be asking you to choose. So just type in, if you were able to choose, which one would it be? The Fern or the Leaf Fall? That Leaf Fall is a tongue twister for me for some reason. So I'm going to put it in like that, and I will bring back the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. So do you think I chose the right one, or would you have chosen the Fern one? So I'm putting it in with the specialty plate because it's a 3D embossing folder, and I'm running it through, holding it in place. This is just like magic every time. I just love it. And we'll take this out and move this out of the way. And let's open it up. And now we've got it looking like that. So we've got now our card base, we've got this, and now we need to get to the technique. So let's put that to the side and bring in a piece of vellum. And I'm going to put some scrap paper underneath because we're going off the edge. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use the embossing accessory kit or something like that. I did a series on it, now I can't remember, but we're going to use this, and we're going to go all over here because we are embossing with Versamark, and vellum loves to pick up Versamark. Now let me just show, when I store my Embossing Buddy, I actually store it with my Versamark, because how many of you have forgotten to use your Versamark, and sometimes the results are not so good? So I solved that problem by storing them together, and it increased my chances of knowing or of remembering to use it. I won't say it solved it all, but it increased it. So what we're going to do on this side of the vellum is we're going to stamp, and then we're going to heat emboss. So the other was dry embossing. This is going to be heat embossing, and we're going to heat emboss with white ink. So I'm going to just stamp a little bit here. Now you likely can't see where I've stamped, and I actually have to get in certain light to see it myself. I'm going to go there, nice and sticky. Then I'm going to bring the little seedling in and add just a little bit more. Better make sure that that I'm doing it where I want. Put one there, and going to put one up here. Now when I'm not working through a camera, I can usually see that a little better. Then I'm going to bring in my white embossing powder. Now your embossing powder comes in a little container like this, and this is where it's really handy to have this to catch all the little pieces. I have mine in a bigger container because I use it so much, and when I have it in classes, it cuts down a little bit on the mess. And one of the tools that I am in love with right now is this these tweezers, or are these tweezers. They are so strong and they just really do the trick. So let's see, where's a good spot to put these tweezers? Right about here. So now can you see where the Versamark is? The Versamark is a water-based ink that stays sticky, so it will hold this powder. So when I sprinkle the powder on, see how it's sticking? And now I'll do it over here and tap off the excess. You can even turn it over and give it a flick. It gets lots of the excess off. And now I've got a little piece here that needs some more. Now if I had some in some spots that I didn't want it, I'd bring in a little brush or the putty end of my take your pick tool, and there's one spot right there and it's very fine. So I'm going to bring in the putty end and just get, it's like a hair that's there. Come on, there we go. And there's another spot. There, so now we've got that applied. I'm going to put the lid on because I have been known to spill it and it's not fun, trust me. So now I will bring this. Your silicone mat is a good thing to put underneath to protect your work surface, and I'm going to heat it up. Now this is vellum and it heats up relatively quickly, but it might kind of look warpy, but you can always flatten it out again by heating it from the other side. Now, can you see how it's shiny? That's the sides that where the powder has melted. So my heat tool is melting that powder, and it is just like magic. So what we're really doing is making our own specialty designer paper. And I got this idea from a wonderful paper crafter called Chris Stokes, and I then had to play with it, and I'm kind of having a lot of fun with it. I've made several cards. So there, you see how, now, do you see how right here, I don't know if you can see, it's not very shiny. That likely needs a little bit more heat. And so that's what I often do, is I pick my piece that's being embossed up, and then I wiggle it in the light to see if there's a powdery area. And I think that looks pretty good with a distinctive stamp. It's a little bit harder to tell. So there we go. So already that is looking gorgeous, just like that. So we're going to put that aside, and we could stop right there, but we're going to add some color to it too. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to use those same stamps. So we're going to clean the leaves. I'm bringing in my stamp and scrub. I could use my chamois as well. And so they're clean now. And now I am going to turn this over, and I'm going to stamp on the back with the Pear Pizzazz. And you could use whatever color you wanted. I'm just a Pear Pizzazz girl today. So when it's a large stamp like this, I like to ink it up upside down. And, oh, I'll put one right there. And, oh, maybe there. And then I'm going to bring in the little seedling, and we'll put one there. And not all of this is going to show up because we've made it bigger than what we actually need. So there it is. Now, because we are on vellum paper, this is going to take forever to dry. Can you see how it is still shiny and wet? Now, I could leave it overnight and it would likely be dry, but I'm not that patient. So I'm going to bring my heat tool back in and heat that. And where's my silicone mat? There we go. And just dry the ink. So I'm just heating it up, speeding up the drying process because I'm not very patient. There we go. And you can see it starting to dry. Some parts had more ink than others, so it takes that a little bit longer. Whoops, what did I just, oh, I melted it right onto my silicone mat. Oh, it's a little shiny there. So there's a little lesson. Don't put it right on your mat because you're going to melt the embossing powder on the other side. So I've got most of it dry, I think. There we go. So let's move that out of the way. And I'm going to bring my scrap paper in just one more time, just in case I missed some of this. I'm going to blot it and get any excess off. There we go. So it looks pretty good. So now what you have is you have the white embossing on the top and then you have the color showing through. And doesn't that look neat? Here, I'll put some white paper behind it and it shows up even more. Just like that. So that's the technique, and it is just a fun one. Now we're going to put this, frame it in here. Just okay. So I didn't want my maple leaves quite so balanced, but we'll figure out a way to unbalance it, right? We will put it at a bit of an angle. That's what we'll do. So how am I going to fasten this to that? I want it to be on dimensionals. So I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. Let's see, can you see? Yeah. And put dimensionals around my opening. That's all I'm worried about right now. And this is where I've used them all, but if you had some little edge pieces, they work perfectly here. And I'm being fairly generous because I do want it to hold securely. And I'm going to take those backings off. There we go. I was making a card using this technique earlier and forgot to take some of the backings off. Made it a little interesting. Okay, so now this is where you're going to figure out your placement, how you like it. And what I like to do, because it can be a little bit buckled, and unless you have been patient and let it sit underneath something else, I'm going to go like that. I'm going to start here and then go like that and get everything nice and smooth. And why did I use my silicone mat? Because some of my dimensionals were going to stick. So this looks like it might be causing a problem. I'm going to do just a little bit of vellum surgery here. There. And now we have it looking like that, and we're ready to put it on our card front. Doesn't that look neat? So I'm going to add a few more dimensionals. Obviously, I do not have to add dimensionals to the vellum because that already has dimensionals on it. So I'm just going to fill in a few spots that, oh, why not? Be real generous. You don't have to use that many. I just got carried away. My card is not going to sag at all. There we go. And we put it on, whoops, I got a little bit of green there from somewhere. There we go. And just like that, you have that fancy card. Now, I have a little bit of green here, so what could I do? I could sponge just a little bit other places and make it look like that's exactly what I planned. So let's bring in a Pear Pizzazz sponge here. I just have to find it. There it is, right here. And I'm not going to do much. I could have done spatters as well. Where's my scrap paper? I'm going to take some of the excess off. I'm going to add just a little bit here and there. There, nobody will know that I accidentally got that on the paper. So now we've got it looking like that. Now, a little embellishment would likely finish it off. And as I was looking through my embellishments, I thought, ooh, the faux sea glass shapes would be perfect. They come in all these colors. As you can see, I've used a few from here. So let's bring up and see. Let's see, where shall we put these? One right here. And maybe one over here. And maybe I'm getting too fussy here. I'll put it right there. And we just finished it off like that. And there we go. We're going to put that out of the way. So I call this technique, create your own specialty vellum paper. So there is the card that I just have shown you right here. So let's look at a few other samples. So when my first try was this one. So I used the same stamp set. I used the same color ink. So you can see there. But on this one, I used soft sea foam ribbon, and I used the embossing folders that say hello and thank you. I forget the name of them. They're in the annual catalog. And just cut this apart and did it like that. So there's that one there. So that's exactly the same. And that's going portrait. Then I tried another one, and before I show it to you, this was the card that I went back and I cased for this one here, and I also cased it for the next one. So go back, if you have a favorite card layout, go back and use it again. So this one I used Tahitian Tide, and I used the dragonflies in the background there. So, and charming sentiments for the verse. Now I've got a little piece here, and I just wanted to show you. This is with white in the background, but what if I had put Tahitian Tide in the background? Can you see that? Let's turn that over so you get the idea. So that gives it another effect, another look. So you can play around with that a little bit too. And then I told you I got carried away. I have a card on Pinterest that's very similar to this, and it has been pinned thousands of times. It's been a favorite, and it is a layout that I really like. It's like a picture frame. So again, I went back and I thought, I love this layout. I'm going to reuse it for this technique. And I brought in the seashells, and there is what I did with it. So I've got my frame. I used a different embossing folder, but it was the stitched rectangles and the seashells, and the color is petal pink mixed with the white embossing. So and then I just did that on the inside to finish it off. So I hope that gives you some ideas and that you have some fun with this technique. I'd love to see what you do. So do post what you do, and if you're posting it on your social media, make sure to tag me. Then I will be able to see it, or post a picture right here in the comment section. If you need some help with supplies and you live in Canada, I'd love to help you out if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. This is my website, and this is the current hostess code, or you can contact me and I can help you out too if you're not too sure what to do. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to give that thumbs up and to subscribe. And I was going to, that reminds me, everybody who shares, who comments on this, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, do remember that I put your name in a draw, and then I do a draw for it. So this was last week's card, and we did the matching envelope, and it was the fun fold like that. So I finished it off afterwards. So there it is. And Brenda Rogers. So Brenda, if you will message me or email me your mailing address, I'll tuck that into the mail for you. If you say, well, Lillian, I don't always see your samples after the video. So I post these other samples during the week after the video, but I always post them on my group Facebook page. It's just a little more private and there's a little more sense of community there. So do pop over there. There's a join button there, so just click join and I will okay you, and then you'll be part of that community. So, and we would love to have you. So have fun with this technique. I can't wait to see what you do. Take care and bye-bye.